Hello guys, here I am back down on the foreshore in London, so let's get going and see what I can find for you today. Let's get stuck straight in and we'll check out a few ceramic finds first. I spy a good old chunky piece of redware. It's a strap handle from a post-medieval London area redware vessel, dating loosely from the 16th to the 18th century. You see the handle decoration? This is made by the potter sliding his thumbs down the handle length. And from the size and shape of the handle, it's likely to have come from a chamber pot. Look closely here. Can you see something incredibly personal? That's right. The potter has left a 16th to 18th century thumbprint on this handle. Now that is fabulous. Of no real consequence other than I love to find worked lead with practical use. Here's something that would have fixed or secured something else. It's a lead flashing or fix. And you can see the apertures here, which I assume once accommodated nails. Lovely river tumbled chunk of thick cream slipware here. This is Sunderland slipware with this brown mottled glaze and cream base. I love this look here. Over here we have a not insubstantial chunk of German Westerwald stoneware. You can tell it's Westerwald by the shape and feel, but also by this cobalt blue glaze here. And this is not to be confused with scratch blue, which is very similar and some say is our imitation of Westerwald. This is part of a jug handle. Decoration there, flat rim. I think this is a good contender for another chamber pot. Gosh, it's all very toilety on the Thames today. Big chunk of stoneware here, likely from a storage jar, or maybe something more utilitarian. Chunky mooring chain, lovely. And just in front of that, a sweet piece of Staffordshire slipware. And now we all love this biscuity glaze, don't we? Blink and you'll miss it. A tiny piece of Chinese export ware down here. A delicate little hand-painted star. How dainty. Fool's gold is something we find a lot of on the foreshore. Here are two lovely nuggets of iron pyrite, fool's gold. I recently read a blog that posited a theory concerning the fabled Dick Whittington's belief that London's streets were paved with gold because of the following. Now, I say the fabled version of Dick, as there was a very real 15th century Richard Whittington, a wealthy London merchant. Now, the notion was related to the fact that, in 1580, Sir Martin Frobisher brought back tons of iron pyrite from the New World, believing it to be true gold-bearing ore that he gathered on trips funded by Queen Elizabeth I. Alas, no such luck. And once his embarrassment had died down, the fool's gold was finally put to another ingenious use. It was smelted to turn into road metalling, an aggregate that provides a solid road surface. Could this be what the fabled Dick was talking about when he said the streets were paved with gold? There's a link to that blog post in the video description. Now, if you've been following my foreshore adventures, you'll know I keep checking in on a particular spot of the foreshore where a Victorian bottle dump is eroding out. It's the same spot where I found the Apollinaris mineral water seal and the interesting patented cod bottle fragment. This time I found something that used to turn up in droves on the Thames but recently have been in somewhat short supply. A vulcanised bottle stopper. What's special about this particular stopper, even incomplete as it is that it's a stopper for the Barrett and Ehlers, or Ehlers, not sure how you pronounce that, Barrett and Ehlers company. It's special because it was Mr. Henry Barrett himself, along with John Adams, who patented the first internally stoppered bottle in 1868. And it was also Barrett who invented the first vulcanised screw-top bottle stopper in 1879 to 80. The stopper that you see here is one of those, an 1880 onwards stopper, with a fabulous, somewhat meta design of a screw-top stopper on a screw-top stopper itself. It's a shame that it's incomplete, but I'm glad to add it to my collection, given its significance. I can never resist taking these home. It's a fragment of fish colander, or strainer, and this is brown glazed redware, circa 16th to 18th century. Let's take a minute to appreciate some glorious depictions of fish colanders in these Dutch 17th century still life paintings. I love to imagine these pieces, many hundreds of years ago, whole, functioning, and, although I eat neither fish nor meat, resplendent with plump steamed carp. Few more little bitties of clay pipe here, nothing too significant, but I know how pipe mad some of you are, so I like to give you a look at them when they congregate in an area like this. Let's leave the bottle dump now and traverse the old brick highway. Although older bricks are few and far between in this spot, there's still a lot of interesting things to be found. Let's take a closer look at some of the brick manufacturers. Now, I've covered this brick company before in an earlier video. It's a brick from Scotland's Glenboig world-famous Starworks. This glazed brick here is from Henry Warrington's Berry Hill, Stoke-on-Trent works. And over here, we've got another glazed brick, this time from Leeds, specifically the Farnley Iron Company. We're into the metal zone now, and today I'm going to stick to one main spot here, just around barge bed level. But before we dive in, I've got a mystery find for you to identify. My identification will follow later in the video. So here it is, and on first impression it looks like carved stone, but take a closer look. What do you think it is? And what do you think it's made of? This is an odd thing. Looks a lot like stone. It appears to be worked, carved even. But, as we know, not everything is as it first appears. So stay tuned to find out my solution to this mystery item towards the end of the video. Here's the spot I'm working on, just here. you can see the foreshore through the barge bed, and it's this silty, sandy area that we're hoping to turn up some little metal goodies in. And this here is a good sign. A fragment of cloth seal. Sadly, a bit too busted up for me to identify. Another good sign here, a laced shape or aglet. There's been a real dearth of these recently, for me at least, so it's good to spot one here. More clothes fastening related objects, a partial buckle here, you can see half of the frame, and although rusted, part of the iron spindle and pin remains. Another mystery item here. Now, this looks like a piece of stone. Could this raised circular area here be decoration? Was it perhaps once a stone tile? My answer to this, along with the other mystery item, towards the end of the video. So you can see how populated this sandy patch is with miniature metal. And here are more lead scraps and aglets again. Lots of pins, lots of little bits and pieces. Like this sweet little decorated piece of necklace clasp, or perhaps it's part of a brooch that's broken off, I'm not sure. But I wonder if this once held some little paste gems in those recesses there. Now then, this is more like it. One of my favourite things to find. It's an 18th century leaden token. You can see here the capital letter D, and on the other side what looks like a capital I. And both letters are surrounded by 4 little roundels or pips just above and below and either side of the letters. In the Powell classification system, this is known as a Type 2 lead token, which falls under the category of initials. That's a really interesting classification system, so do check it out. Links are in the video description. Now, these lead tokens were made locally and they were used in lieu of small change. Just to show you again, here's the same patch I've been sticking to for a while now. I've got a good feeling about this spot. Ah, and there it is. It's been a while, my old friend. A brass fly button in pristine condition. Now let's see what's written on it, and with any luck we'll have a name and address. W.S. Willie, London. Okay, we've got a name. Let's see what we can find out about our old chap Willie then. Well, not much actually. And now you'll get to feel my pain, because sometimes the clearest, most definite clues, answers even, turn up very little indeed. A cursory and thorough search of W.S. Willie turns up precisely nothing. Well, one thing, but it's a bit of a tenuous link. Let's assume our W.S. Willie is an outfitter or clothier of gentleman's attire. Perhaps he could fit the profile of William Willie, tailor of New Burlington Mews, just off Regent Street. Now, we don't have the S in the name there, and obviously that's stamped on the button, so that has some significance, but the picture fits, and it's the best clue we've got. William Willie Taylor is listed in the John Tallis Street View Survey of Shops and Businesses 1838 to 40, and then again in the Post Office London Directory for 1843. This time at 70 St James's Street. This time period fits with the age of this type of button, which dates from the mid-19th to early 20th century. Interesting little fact about New Burlington Mews. Between 1940 and 41, it took a direct hit from a high explosive bomb, as recorded in the aggregate nighttime bomb census. Interesting little fact about 70 St James's Street. This is actually the address for the Carlton Club, which resides at 69 to 70 St James's Street. From 1827 until 1940, it housed Arthur's Club. So, where was William Taylor being a tailor? Was it in Arthur's Club? Was he the resident tailor? Anyway, you see how easy it is to fall down these rabbit holes of research. We don't know that W.S. Willey was actually this William Willey that I'm looking at. If any of you have extra information about W.S. Willey buttons, I would be more than happy to hear it. Suggestions in the comments section, please. Okay, more aglets, little lead scraps here. Lots of good looking types of things. Okay, over here we've got a tasty little fragment of linotype slug. What does that say there? Let's have a look. It looks like the word secret. Okay, let's try printing it. I'm not sure about that one. Okay, let's go back to the mystery item from the beginning of the video. I had a hunch. It's actually just a glass bottleneck fragment that has been through a fire. Speaking to the gang, that is to say, my closest mudlarking pals, they too suggested it's glass that's been through a fire. Now, fire can produce wonderful effects on glass, giving it strange patterns and shapes and so on. You often see fire glass at bottle dumps where it's all warped and bobbly and retained a lovely shape. Rather than this being a piece of carved stone, perhaps a carved stone flask or something like that, which had crossed my mind, it is, I'm pretty sure, in fact glass. You see this colour change in the fabric here? This gives me the biggest clue. I think the inside is a different colour as the heat didn't penetrate at a consistent level. Now, the other mystery item, the piece of stone with raised decoration. Could it be a floor or wall tile? Kinda impractical to have that raised detail on a floor though, so how about this? Could it be, as suggested by Sci Finds, could it be a chunk of bitumen, the material used to tar ships? Now that is a good catch. Sci suggested that I put a flame to it and see how and if it melts. Unfortunately, I left this piece on the foreshore, much to my regret. I would have loved to try that out and it would have completely solved the mystery, but it remains unsolved. I think we do have a good couple of options and that excellent suggestion from Sci. Well guys, I was literally about to walk off to another bit and I've spotted something I have always wanted to find. A coin weight. Amazing. Can you believe it's taken me 5 years to spot one of these? It's been high on my desirable objects list for a long old time. In fact, it's one of my most wanted. Now let's have a look at this handsome coin weight all cleaned up. This is a Uniface Écu au Soleil coin weight, which, although not yet confirmed by the Finds Liaison Officer at the Museum of London, I'm pretty certain can be dated between 1475 to 1654. That is from the date the gold Écu au Soleil coin was first issued in France to the last date it was issued. The weight has a raised heraldic shielding with a sun, Soleil, with 8 waved streams, perhaps alluding to the sun with streams badge of Edward IV in his second reign, under an open bifoliate crown. It also has a raised fleur-de-lis either side of the shield, inside a beaded circle, and as it is uniface, the back is plain. The coin weight probably weighs half an écu au soleil. In 1525, a whole écu was valued at 4 English shillings. Now, the vital statistics of this coin weight are length 14 millimeters, width 13 millimeters, depth 2.5 millimeters, and the weight is approximately 3 grams. To say I am pleased with this find is a huge understatement. I am over the moon with it. It's a dream find and a very welcome return to the foreshore for me. I say, after that excitement, there's just enough time for a few little bits and pieces before the river kicks me off the foreshore. Here we go. A corset busk just crashed in with the tide, and I think this is really it for us. So the tide is really creeping up fast now in that stealthy way it does. So it's time for me to head off home. Before I do, a few final words from the foreshore. Alright guys, well that is us for today, and what a fantastic day it was. I am so pleased. It's the first time ever for me finding a coin weight. It's a very noisy bird. So yeah, over the moon with that, and until next time, take care, keep merry.